What about 3 questions you want to ask? Could you do that?
I mean, I will.
I'd like to ask Armajé Reed Adams, and you can steal this if you want, if you think it's a good idea. I'd like to ask him about the culture of the offensive line room, because that's one of the things that stood out to me in the couple of practices that I was able to go to in the spring, was just how good of a group and kind of how all together that offensive line, that set of players were under Coach
And I think they had that last year. So how did that how did that come about? And part of it, I guess, was Armaj coming in. Did he bring that with him?
Mm-hmm.
I know Trey Zune, I'm not supposed to know this, but I know Trey Zune was frustrated with it the year before, that there wasn't the camaraderie.
That's not breaking any news. I think a lot of people were. The fan base certainly was.
No, but I mean, with the lack of camaraderie.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it was evident.
I heard
when
that from someone close to Trey. But again, I'm gonna. I would. Hey, and I asked. Maybe it was you. Maybe it was Nick. I said this too. You know, if it's y'all had trouble on 4th and 1. If it's 4th and 1, who should A&M run behind? And I would assume he would say me. Yeah. Of course. Mm-hmm. But then there's always, hey, with our line, you can run behind anybody. It doesn't matter. I say, well, it mattered last year. So, that's something.
I think you could probably find one good question, at least one good question. I'd hope you could find one good question for each guy, right? Yeah. Like with Will Lee, I think everybody's anticipating the secondary to take a step forward. Why?
That's right.
Like you brought in Jordan Shaw, you brought in Julian Humphrey. Who am I missing out of the portal? DB. Am I missing somebody?
I don't know. There might be a safety. I don't know. But I know,
Des Ricks back, Chappelle coming back.
Back. There are reasons to believe the defense. Hey, did you see anything that showed you that guys figuring out how to play his own defense? I don't think Will has a problem with it, but obviously there was a problem otherwise. I mean, Elko showed us or told us as much. So, my questions will be less about, NIL and all those other things. I think NIL is great and it's very interesting to fans, but at this point, it's time to find out. Tell me why it's going to be better so I can have some hope for the upcoming season and, maybe play some better too.
One of the big things was just being able to go and get my, PhD in coaching. And be around some really, really good coaches. I mean, heck, my first quarterback coach was Cliff Kingsbury, and obviously was around Johnny and that whole era. Developed a great relationship with Coach Sumlin, and he let me see the inner workings of what a program is like from the inside out, even as a player, which is a really cool experience. And so going into college, I knew I wanted to do it. And then really on the back end, and sitting down and having some long talks with the O-line coach Jim Turner, whenever Noel Mazzoni was there, and then having some more conversations with Coach Sumlin, I really wanted to go all in on this coaching journey. I actually turned down an accounting job in Houston that I had already previously accepted. It's like, hey guys, I really have this thing on my heart. I want to chase this coaching journey. I don't have a job lined up, don't have anything solid right now, but I'd be kicking myself the rest of my life if I didn't go all in on it. And I volunteered that spring as I was finishing up my master's, and I had more fun, really doing that than I did as a player, just because I was so much more involved and got to see the inner workings of what goes into, the hours and hours and hours of preparation that just goes into an hour and a half practice. And I thought the beauty in that was really, really cool to see everything, all the preparation led to, just, the 2.5, 3, 4 hours that you get in front of the players each day.
Well, and looking through your resume right now, you've cut your teeth under some really innovative offensive minds. And so how has spending time with, you mentioned Noel Mazzoni, but Lincoln Riley and his offensive schemes and plans, how did it influence the offense that you brought to Incarnate Word? And then how much are you taking that with you to the professional level? And so what I'm asking, I guess, Connor, is how are you curtailing all of what you've learned into the professional level, into what you're asked to do right now for the Raiders?
Yeah, so I think, especially whenever you're around a ton of different great minds in football, whether it's in the offensive, defensive, or just philosophically as a head coach. You find things that you like, things that you don't like. And one of the things that I really appreciated about Lincoln and my relationship with him developing as the years went on, as I worked for him, was just the ability to have an adaptable and moldable offensive scheme that isn't just say like, hey, these are the plays that we run and this is how we're going to run it. And everybody needs to fall in line with that. It's basically saying, hey, each and every year your football team is going to be different. And that's the case every single year in the NFL, and is becoming the case now, especially with the transfer portal and rev share and everything that's happening in college football, that it's a brand new roster every year. And you've got to be able to adapt your scheme offensively to mold to your personnel. What do our players do well, and how can we put them in positions to be successful?
Is there one guy, you can throw Le'Veon in here, but maybe a guy that was little used last year, or a new guy, freshman, incoming transfer, that you're like, man, I'm really excited to see what he does?
You know what I can't help but think? That last year during coaches' nights, Mike Elko was like, hey, don't put everything on the 17-year-old Terry Bussey.
I like that pick.
Oh, I'm telling you, he's electric. Is he not?
He's a winning player.
Yes.
So like he's got the attributes to make you to be an elite football player, but he's also got the mentality. He's small town, and I like small town kids where from the time Terry Bussey was 8 years old, all eyes have been on him. So all this stuff is not new to him. Like the pressure to play under the big lights, like that's what he did every Friday in Timpson, Texas.
We always ask, why is the moment not too big for certain people? Because it's not too big for them. They've been it. The lights don't get any brighter for them. They've always been bright. So, and what position was he going to play last year? Well, now we think we know the position. And I think not just that, the strength of those positions by players who stayed, the addition in the portal has been awesome, but I think they've upgraded the skill positions as well. So that's what makes it really exciting.
A recruitment that Brian Kelly had to win, and you credit to him for winning it. But I also think it brings up a bigger conversation about what A&M is doing, and specifically when you're recruiting in this area of the country, the Deep South, with so much inherent pressure for those Louisiana kids to stay at LSU. And you go a couple states over and you're recruiting a kid at Mobile, Alabama, and Tank Jones, who you feel like very similarly to Lamar Brown, you've got a heavy pull of this rope right now coming your direction. But when it comes down to it,
you know what's coming.
Yeah, how realistic is it that he's going to leave Mobile when Alabama's firing the Saban bullet?
I think it's more realistic. I think big picture, a week ago or a few days ago, I did that thing and I had Tank behind Lamar Brown in my most likely to end up Aggies. That was because at that day, 3 days before, it was like, man, there's some slight, you and I both had people telling us, coaches at other schools recruiting him were saying, yeah, it's A&M. Not enough to go in on that, but hey, 51-49, 55-45, it's very slight. And that's why we always say, the Brandon Arrington thing, the Tristan Givens, in the days coming up to these decisions that it's going to be A&M, but you don't know because anything can happen. And that's especially true with a Lamar Brown out of Baton Rouge or a Tank Jones out of Mobile. Yes, there's a lot of pressure to stay, but I think there's less in that particular instance than there was for Lamar Brown to stay at LSU, stay on campus, literally. So am I going to sit here today and say they're going to get Tank? No, but I do think they have a real chance and probably more of a shot at that one.